Well, my father was born and raised in Portland, Maine, and also on an island in the Casco Bay. And he, through a fellow associate at the Naval Academy, got talked into going to the Naval Academy. It was going to be his good opportunity to have a college education. He was very, very smart and got in at 16, graduated at 20, and in the class of 1925, and went on to marry my mother in 27. They went on out to Pearl Harbor as newlyweds in 29, and he was in the submarine force after submarine school, and then came back to the postgraduate school in 33. That's when I was born, in Annapolis, rather appropriate, and went on back to Pearl in 35. And so I was kindergarten age the first time. We came on back to the States, and Dad went, he was an ordnance PG, and so he went on to be the project officer and the officer that fielded the first torpedo data computers in the late 30s. So he spent the next 9 months, almost a year, in Panama. Interestingly, there was a full-blown submarine squadron at each end of the Panama Canal at those days. And then he went out to Pearl as well. We went out, that is my mother and by this time my sister, went out on one of them, I can't remember, the Mariposa, the Monterey, one of the Matson liners. And got there around between December and 25th and New Year's. I'm not exactly sure when we got there. So eventually we settled in on the first part of January. And we're there until June of the following year, after the war had already started. And so that's how we all got started and how we ended up being in Pearl Harbor when the war started. Dad was, by this time, the operations officer of Submarines United States Fleet. And initially, they were on board the cruiser Richmond. We lived in a rented home up above the city a little bit, so that we looked down on it and out towards the base. We were quite a ways away from the base. We lived up there in right one block off of what is a pretty well-known street in that part of the world. Woods is Keomoku Street. And we lived in a little courtyard of about 6 houses. And that morning, I was out early with the husband of our live-in maid, Nancy Ueda, Robert Ueda, who was an employee of the Army PX system, I think, in Schofield Barracks. Anyway, we were raking leaves and having a nice chat, and all of a sudden, whoomp, whoomp, whoomp. And as I recall, I said something to the effect, why is the Army practicing on Sunday? And he said, I don't think it's practice, because the practice explosions are normally white and these are dark. I think something's going on. About that time, my mother came out of the house and said, we're being bombed. I'm getting your father up. You go across and get his classmate, Eddie Beck, across. Get him and tell your Aunt Evelyn to get Eddie up out of bed. And then she came roaring out of the house. Mary, what's going on? We're being bombed. So the two officers, they were both young lieutenant commanders then, toddled off to Pearl Harbor in a 1929 Rio and got on the base. Dad got hit a little bit with some falling shrapnel just on a knee, and as it was coming to the end of its arc. And we didn't see him again for 3 weeks.